Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to another Michael's class. Happy Monday afternoon to all of you. I'm going to adjust the camera here because we're going to be recording our class today, which is really exciting. And by recording, you're going to be able to watch this class again at a later point. We're just going to give about 60 seconds or so to let everyone into the class. We had over 1,000 people register for this afternoon's class, which is really awesome. So want to extend a huge thank you to each and every one of you for coming out today and logging on and spending the next 30, 45 minutes with me as we go through our Sharpie ceramic coaster class, which is going to be a really exciting class, so very excited to have you with us. My name is Jonathan Daniel. I am with Newell Brands, which is the parent company of Sharpie and a lot of other really exciting brands, Papermate, Prismacolor, Elmer's Glue. So I work out of one of our offices in the New York City area in Hoboken on our e-commerce team. And in my day-to-day functions, what I do is I help to produce digital content for the products that the brand teams launch into the market, like products that you see right here in front of me. Our new Sharpie S Notes, our metallic chisel markers, which are really, really exciting. So that's a little bit about me. I'm coming to you from my apartment in New York City. And over the past several weeks, and over the summer and into early fall, Sharpie and some of the other writing brands have partnered with Michael's to bring these really exciting classes from our homes to your home. A few weeks ago, we had a National Coloring Day event where one of our colleagues did some really cool coloring with our Prismacolor products. I then led a Sharpie tie-dye class. We did tie-dye t-shirts. I also showed a tie-dye canvas shoe. We had a Sharpie planter decor class that was led by one of my other colleagues. We even had an Elmer's STEAM class. And then last week, we had a really exciting class on hand lettering using Sharpie and Prismacolor products. And today we're winding it down with a tie-dye coaster class using Sharpie products. And if you want to go back, all of these classes that we've done have been recorded and they're online on michaels.com. So go and check them out. If you don't have all the materials that we need for today's activity, that's a-okay. You can always go back starting tomorrow and watch the class. So let's jump right into it. And also, just side note here, if there are any questions along the way, or if you need me to stop or repeat something, just send a quick little message over in the chat, and one of our moderators today is Alex from Newell. She or someone else will get back to you right away, or they will just comment to me and let me know what questions you have. So what do we need for today's class? The materials are super, super small. It's a small list of materials, and this activity is perfect for people of all ages, young kids to older adults. It's an activity that requires a little bit of creativity, but the results are really, really impressive in what you're going to see. You're first going to need a set of Sharpie markers. Now, we know that the instructions list had mentioned the color burst, but if you have an assortment of different colors of Sharpies at home, that's perfectly fine. I'm going to be using the Sharpie fine tip markers, but if you have Sharpie Ultra Fines, that's perfectly fine. If you don't have the Sharpies, that's okay too, but we're using Sharpies since this is a Sharpie sponsored class, all right? So an assortment of those different colors. You're gonna pick out what you wanna use. Today though, I'm going to be using, since we're now into fall and the weather's starting to get a little chilly, I've got pumpkins in front of me, a beautiful cinnamon chai candle burning. Why not create some fallish coasters, right? For the coaster itself, we need ceramic tiles. These are glazed ceramic tiles. These are not porous. If they're porous and don't have a glaze on them, this activity will probably not work for you. So you need something that's got a sheen to it, okay? If they don't have a felt backing on them, that's perfectly fine. At the end, I'm going to show you how we can just add some felt to it so that these will protect your surfaces. You're also going to need some rubbing alcohol. Rubbing alcohol comes in a variety of different percentages. I've got 70% in front of me. I've got a little container or a little dish for the rubbing alcohol, and I have an eyedropper. The instructions and the material list stated pipettes. That's perfectly fine as well if you have those. I mistakenly, they disappeared over the weekend on me, so this is what we're using here. And if at the end, one thing we'll talk about is using a fast drying polyurethane to seal and protect your artwork and your designs here so that these coasters can be used for a long time. That will then prevent the marker from smearing on the actual coaster. So we'll get to this towards the end of the class. Any questions from anyone about what we're doing? Anyone, feel free to add them in, and Alex will let me know, excuse me. So
hey, Jonathan, we've had a few questions asking about if they can use unglazed coasters. So would like to get your thoughts on that. Yeah, so we've tested this out a couple different ways, and the one that we found best is definitely using the glazed version. The non-glazed, you can definitely decorate with the Sharpies. But what I found is that once you hit it with the rubbing alcohol in a lot of situations will erase the marker, which is not what you're looking for. You're looking for a marbled effect, sort of like what I'm showing here with what I did this morning. And I'll hold this up closer to the camera if we want to flip to that. So we're looking for that sort of effect, and that's what you'll get best with the glazed white tiles. When we're using white here, we've also used gray in the back and other instances, and grays have worked well. But of course, you want to use a tile or a piece of ceramic. It doesn't even have to be a tile where the color, it's going to allow the color to pop out. And white, of course, is best in this situation. So the tiles that I showed you here, I actually just used 4 colors. You can use as many as you want, but I think less is more in this situation. So we're going to stick to around 4 or 5 different colors for the ones that I'm going to do today with you. And we're going to decorate 4 of them and go through the process together. And once we do one, what's really nice is that you kind of get the hang of it, and you sort of can continue on as we move throughout the class here. So let's get started. I'm just going to take my first tile here. And I'm actually I have a butcher block countertop in my apartment here. So to avoid any messes, because I can get messy sometime, I'm going to do the activity just in a baking dish here. If you want to line your surface with some cardboard or some newspaper, or if you're feeling completely comfortable and just doing it without any of that type of stuff, that's totally cool as well. So like I said, I'm going to go for a fall effect on these ceramic coasters today. So I'm just using like an aubergine or a eggplant, one of the Sharpie reds, a brown, one of the yellows, and an orange. I've got 5 right now. I may just go with 4. You can choose whichever colors you want. Up here in the examples, I used a blue, a lighter blue, a yellow, and more of one of these really cool pinks earlier today. So the activity starts out just like this. Let's take out your first color. I'm going to hold it up as I'm going through. And really, and in all honesty, you can do whatever you want. Cover, though, this entire surface with as much color as possible. Try to limit the amount of white that you have. So I'm going to just start with my red. And I tested, when I did these examples earlier, the ones that I have in front of me, I did a couple different designs. This one, for example, I started with patches of yellow in the corners. So I'm gonna take my 4 corners in this example and give them a nice pop of red there. And the thing, again, to keep in mind with this, this class is there's no rules. We're all having fun together. Life's a little stressful right now for a lot of us, so let's just take 45 minutes and just chill out on this Monday and have fun together. I told everyone where I'm from, up in New York City. I'm in Harlem. Feel free to
let everyone know where you're from. We're always interested to know. I had a lot of people from all over the United States and other parts of the country in a lot of these classes this summer. So it's really exciting because it shows that you are all really just fans of Michael's and fans of Sharpie and Elmer's and Papermate. And Alex, I know, will do the honors of reading off where everyone is from. And as we're moving on here, I'm just gonna, go ahead.
We have people from Dallas, Athens, Georgia, Virginia, Illinois, Iowa, California, Idaho,
Very
Texas,
nice.
California, all over.
Nice. Very nice. Love California. Love Monterey and San Diego, great areas. And I actually used to live in Atlanta, so not too far from Athens. It's actually where our headquarters is. It's right in Atlanta. I am just adding some additional colors onto the ceramic tile surface. You can choose to add a pattern. You can do dots. You can do lines. You can do swirls, whichever you prefer. You'll see as soon as we start hitting this with the rubbing alcohol how neat the after effect is. So I'm just gonna do a straight line down, quick little color with this aubergine or eggplant. I'm gonna take it to the right. So we're gonna do like a cross or a plus symbol. Yeah, I miss the South. I miss the warmer weather. So for all of you that are on from the South and Atlanta and Florida, even parts of California west, definitely miss the nice weather. The weather up here in New York City right now, it's actually a beautiful summer day. It feels like summer outside. Beautiful fall day. And I went outside a little while ago to get these beautiful pumpkins or little gourds. And a sweater was not necessary today at all. But the weather will be getting cooler. If you like snow, then let us know if you love snow. I'm not a big snow person, but it's coming, I know. I'm gonna take my third color. Let's go with an orange and then finish it with the yellow. So one thing you'll notice as we're going through this also is that when we start to apply the rubbing alcohol, it's going to lighten these colors up. And the process kind of takes a little while for the colors to lighten, but it's really interesting. They're so bold on the ceramic right now, but will definitely change once that sort of like chemical reaction happens. So right now, again, if you joined a little late, everyone, that's okay. Our class is being recorded today, and we're creating Sharpie posters on ceramic white tiles. And the end effect is going to look like a glazed marble effect on these. It will look really, really cool. And everyone's design is going to be unique. We're not all choosing the same colors. Can't imagine that's happening. And we're probably not all doing the same design, right? So these will all be.
Hey, Jonathan, we're having a few people ask, have you tried this with metallic markers?
Great question. Yes, I did. I actually tried this morning. I didn't really notice much of a change with the metallics, but what I was thinking about after was, because what I was hoping for, right, would be that metallic effect. I didn't really see it, but what you could do after you, what I'm thinking you could do, I haven't tested it, what you're thinking you could do is after you glaze it, you could come back in and maybe just add some specks of the metallic, depending on your design. You know, Sharpie has some really cool metallic colors. They originally started these out with just the fines, and then last year, I believe, we expanded it out to the chisel tips. But they're still, I think, just in 6 different colors. But definitely worth trying. I think anything's a go. And the nice thing about this activity also is up until you put the polyurethane on the surface, this is you can pretty much start over if you want and if you don't like your end design by just using some cleaner and rubbing it off. So it's really the polyurethane. If you have it, if you don't have it, you can do it at a later point. It doesn't need to necessarily be done today, but it's the polyurethane that's gonna like settle this all together and just allow for you to use these coasters for a long while. So just finishing up here with this orange. Hopefully that answered the question that we had there. You can try to slip in some yellow in here. And you notice that I'm not being perfect about this. Like there are obvious, this is areas where there's still some white, but that's okay. Because if we had it perfect, right? Yeah, I don't think that's really gonna add too much value to it because the rubbing alcohol is gonna start to bleed these colors together. So the general idea here that we want to get to is covering at least 90–95% of the surface with the color. And as we go, we're gonna do one at a time today. Not all of the rubbing alcohol at the end. Let's see, where can I add a little yellow? Maybe along the sides here. Here. At this point, I'm nearly complete with my first tile. And these have this activity is great because one, you can keep these for yourself if you want, but you can give these as gifts with the holidays coming up. These are like the perfect gift to give to someone. We're spending so much time right now in our homes. Why not spark a little joy in someone's life, right? Package these up, wrap them nicely, put them in a bag, give them as a holiday gift. So there is my first tile. I got some red, orange, yellows, the aubergine in there. Again, we're going for the fall effect today. And what I'm going to do now is introduce the rubbing alcohol. Again, I poured rubbing alcohol. I have the 70% here. You can get this at Michael's, any drugstores, but it's probably in most of your homes just already, right? And you're gonna need your eyedropper. I poured a little bit of it into a dish here. This is where the less is more also comes in here. We don't need to totally saturate the entire surface. Just start, and you're probably not gonna see it very clearly just because of the resolution of the camera. All I'm doing is dropping a couple little drops across the surface of the, more than a couple. And I'm dropping small dots onto the tile here. A little bit at a time, because the rubbing alcohol will naturally start to sort of bleed out and expand, especially if you hit the same spot a couple times. If you put more rubbing alcohol onto the tile, what you're going to notice in the end is probably a lighter design and something that's not as bold. And over the course of the class today, we're going to see how just this, all of them will transform, because it doesn't just happen over the course of a minute or two. It sort of takes a little while. Any questions, Alex?
We're just getting a few questions about glazed versus unglazed, but I think we're working through it. I think everybody's hard at work on their coasters.
Good, awesome. Yeah, the glaze thing is an interesting situation, or the non-glazed interesting situation. That's okay. I'm really liking how the aubergine or like eggplant color is kind of bleeding out into the oranges, and this is exactly what we want, exactly what we need. And just taking my time here. No rush with this, because ultimately you're going to need to let these dry. And if you're soaking them like a super soaker, you're going to be letting them dry for a couple hours, right? reality, this should probably take 30 minutes to an hour to dry. I found a lot of success by just putting them outside. If it's a sunny day where you are today, if you got a lot of heat, just put them in a windowsill to let them just dry a little bit more.
Hey, Jonathan, we've had a few people ask if you wouldn't mind holding up the coaster a little close to the camera so they can see, and also getting an idea of how much alcohol you're using in the dropper. So
far, this is a tiny little dropper, a couple inches. I've only filled it up maybe 2 or 3 times so far. I'm gonna lift it very gently because the alcohol is on top of it, and by moving the coaster too much, the colors will bleed a little bit more than I want them to. Hopefully that's okay for everyone. And again, what we're going for will look something like this in the end. Now, when I did this one that I'm showing you, there was color all over this. But you can see how over time, this morning before I did the polyurethane, the rubbing alcohol continued to work its magic on there. And you don't need to hit every single area. There is something to be said about the parts that have the sort of blend effect, and then those that maybe still just have the Sharpie marker on them that didn't get hit with the rubbing alcohol, okay? And that's okay as well. What I like about this activity, again, it really, any age can do this, but it looks like we've spent, hours working on this, right? So you could surprise all of your friends with this activity. It's pretty cool. Look what I did in just a couple of minutes, right? So I just maybe put a couple more drops on there. And be careful with how much you move these. Again, if you've got the surface saturated, or there's a puddling, right? If you move it too much, you're gonna notice that the colors start to blend maybe a little bit more than you wanted. Of course, there's nothing wrong with that as well. It will just change the effect of what you're currently looking at. So I'm going to put this one aside, keep it right there. As it's drying, if I want to hit it again with a little bit more rubbing alcohol, that's a-okay. You can continue coming back to this until you're done, right? Start my next tile. Again, if there was anyone that was late, I see that we've had the numbers increase quite a bit since we started the class. We're just using these ceramic tiles, and we're going to turn these into coasters today. These are a perfect gift idea, especially with the holidays approaching. Or maybe there's just someone that you want to give a nice little gift to and brighten their day. Maybe it's your neighbor, a friend. We're in the back to school season. Some kids are back in school, some are not. Maybe it's a gift for the teacher, right? Great ideas here. And please, if I'm curious to know if you'll be keeping these for yourself today or if you'll be giving them to someone else. Feel free to let us know in the chat, and Alex will read out any of the responses that come in. So last time, I'm going to start on the second one. The last time I did more of the cross or plus symbol. This time I'm going to do just squiggles. Taking my orange. I'm just going to do little S curves in here and fill them in. There we go. Also thinking about Thanksgiving right now. This is one of the next big holidays coming up, and if you're planning on hosting a small, socially distanced gathering with family this year, these would be perfect for the table, or your gathering, or if you're traveling to family members' home, you bring these. Use the brown since I didn't use that before. I'm going to continue this sort of pattern of the S's. I'm filling it in, and hopefully everyone can see. Alex, I know you'll let me know if people can't see. And I am, I just want to call out that this partnership with Michaels has been awesome this summer. And going into the fall, we've been able to reach thousands of people across the United States and the globe to just have fun and do these different activities. And it's so nice that Michaels is offering these classes for free. I mean, think about all the different classes that are happening out there that cost money. Here, all these classes are free and brought right into your home. So it's just wonderful. And it allows people like me, who typically sitting behind a computer all day, working on other things, to get out and do something different. Jean in here. And as you're going along, if you want to show us what you're working on, feel free to hold those up to the camera and we can definitely see you. Just don't hold up the ones that have the rubbing alcohol on them. Don't want that going all over the place. Okay. So we're going to do 4 of these today, nice and relaxed.
Hey, Jonathan, we've had a few people ask about decorating the sides of the tiles and the edges as well. Should they wait until after or do it now?
So that's definitely up to you, if you want to do that. I was not planning to do the sides. These were not done. Depending on where you get your coasters, or the tiles, excuse me, they may or may not have copy or text on the side imprinted like this one does. One way to get around that would be you could paint them beforehand the next time you go in and cover them with like a white, or you can, once we're done, they're glazed, you can go back with a darker color and cover up any of the text. Unfortunately, rubbing alcohol on these does not remove that copy. If there was no copy on them, I would keep them white. I prefer that. But that's something that, it's one of those decisions that you can make on your own. But go from there, depending on the situation and where they came from. All right. This red is so bold. I love the boldness of these colors. Really, really nice. And although we hit it with the alcohol right and the colors do blend, I do think that by adding in these different patterns, the outcome does change. If you do the S's, or if you do straight lines, you will see a difference in your finished product. So I, was looking at, prior to this class, some history on coasters. Yes, there is history of coasters. The coaster was first sort of introduced in the late 1800s, which I did not know. And this is something, if you're having dinner tonight with family or on the phone with a friend later, you can tell them that you learned this, that they became popular in the late 1800s. They first came around, and they were known as beer mats. But it wasn't until late 70s where they became popular in the United States. And the coaster, the word, I'm reading from my notes here, comes from the word bottle coaster, which are round, wheeled trays that were originally used to hold decanters. I thought that was pretty neat. We all go to bars and restaurants and have coasters around our homes, but knowing a little bit of history on them is also kind of cool. And obviously they keep the condensation from your drinks from hitting the surface, whether that be at a bar or if that's at home. No one likes rings on their glass tables. I know I have glass tables here. Can't stand it when I see rings on the table. So these will be great. Or on wood surfaces, another no-no. course, I heard that you could always use a little bit of mayonnaise on top of a wood surface to rub out those water spots, which is pretty cool. Little life hack there. Just creating or continuing the pattern here. A little bit more orange. Again, the colors that I chose, if you've joined us a little late today, are sticking in the fall theme. Also, just want to show you that the effect on, let me just hold this up real quickly, on the one that we've already done. Look at that coming to life. Yes. That's looking pretty neat. And like I said at the beginning of the class, over the course of about 30 or so minutes while the rubbing alcohol is drying on the surface, you're going to notice that marble effect really taking off. And it really doesn't require a lot of the rubbing alcohol to do this activity. I was using, maybe on one of those 3 of the eyedroppers, 3 full eyedroppers over the course of a couple minutes to hit it. What colors is everyone using today? What are the top 2 or 3 colors that you've chosen? And are you using your Sharpie fines or Sharpie ultra fines for this activity, or Sharpie chisels? Alex, let us know. Anyone else going with the fall theme, or are we going with some brighter colors?
Still waiting for some answers to come in. I think everybody is busy coloring their tiles right now.
Well, that's good. Okay.
But we do have, somebody's using a lot of bright colors. They're coming in now. Pink and green.
Nice.
Lots of people using bright colors, fall colors. Someone's doing Christmas colors, so they're just thinking ahead.
Yeah. We'll be here.
Somebody's using all blues.
Okay. Nice. All blues. If your hands smudged a little bit, that's okay. Trying to be careful as I go through this, moving this around. Yeah, I do like the bright colors. I think they really look nice. The ones that I have, that I showed you guys at the beginning of the class, I'm going to be using right here in my very small living area. But I took a look at the colors that I had, my furniture, some of the vases and the pillows, and between the blues and the yellows and a little pop of very, very light pink, they'll go perfectly. And I plan on ditching these. I have had these for the longest period. These were probably $30. Look what we're doing now just for a couple bucks, right? Yeah. Get rid of those or maybe put them away. But I definitely want to use these ones to show off. I'm going to start my second. You didn't see me doing the rubbing alcohol the first go around. We're going to start it right now. I'm just doing small, probably a pinky finger, small, the width of these dots on here is about as small as my pinky finger. What's my dropper in there? There we go. Little dots all over. It's okay if some are a little bit bigger. What I don't want to do is I don't really want to saturate it too much because I want these to dry quickly, and they generally do. But of course, the more you have on here, the longer it's going to take, and the lighter the colors will come out in the end. Really liking the one that we started with. It has a cool effect. Has anyone else?
Hey, Jonathan.
Sure.
We had a quick question. Somebody asked if there was a way to clean it completely if you aren't happy with the result after applying the alcohol.
Yep, so I did one this morning and I didn't like the way that it came out. Even after hitting the rubbing alcohol on it, I took some household cleaner and with a paper towel and rubbed it right off. So that's why having the polyurethane towards the end of the class and making sure that it's sealed will protect it. Otherwise, it's probably going to smudge on you, and we don't want that to happen, right? But I do like that we can kind of start over if we're not really satisfied with the
and we had somebody ask as well, what determines the placement of where you're putting the dots of the alcohol, or are you just kind of going with it?
That's me. And it's an activity that's perfect, I think, for everyone because you really have free reign on what you're creating here. Where I'm going, why I'm sort of going around and around is that there are certain spots that weren't hit at all. I don't think you need to hit every single area. I mentioned at the beginning of the class because there's kind of something cool to see how there's like a marbled effect around just the Sharpie that was placed on there that hasn't been touched by the alcohol. But rather than just doing a whole section or going up and down, I'm using more of a random approach to it, and I think that that works best in the situation. Now with this one, excuse me, I'm gonna stop on that for now and see how that looks in a little bit. I don't wanna hit it too much because again, it will start to, just gonna wipe my hand real quick, it will start to naturally lighten, and of course the rubbing alcohol is gonna continue working its magic on there. And I also kind of want to see if I can keep that S curve going with the colors flowing, kind of looks like a river, where this looks almost more like a paisley effect. Okay. So we've got 2 more to go, and I'm just gonna start on my 3rd here. So one thing that I'm going to do here is just kind of go back into just straight lines down. I'm going to keep the lines straight rather than S.
Hey, Jonathan, could you tell everyone where they can share pictures of their final coasters and tiles?
Yeah, most definitely. So everyone's on Instagram, right? And if you're not on Instagram, maybe you're on Facebook. And if you're not on anything, that's okay as well. However, if you are on social media and you do feel like sharing your final product tonight with your friends and family, we'd also love to see it. And you can go ahead and post an image of your finished work by using the hashtag #MakeItWithMichaels. That's hashtag #MakeItWithMichaels. You can also tag Sharpie, hashtag Sharpie or @Sharpie in your post. We have a lovely social media team down in Atlanta that monitors all of that and loves to see what people are working on and how they're using our products. So, and I'm also going to be on Instagram tonight looking to see who's posted their finished creations. It's been really exciting over the past couple months. Seeing all of the different attendees that have come into the classes and then those that have chosen to post online, which is just really exciting. The first classes that I taught this summer were a couple of Elmer's classes with a very, very young group of children. And that was a lot of fun teaching those classes. Everyone that has had the opportunity to do this has really enjoyed it. So I'm doing on this tile again, I'm just doing straight lines down, alternating the colors. Do some thicker bands, some narrow bands. Stick yellow there. Go back to red. Yeah, and this is looking really nice as well. Even though the colors did bleed quite a bit, we still see some of that that flow, those S curves that we added in, which is nice. And also, you know, you could easily, I think some of these could sell online. So if you're into Etsy or into craft shows, start selling these. Put your name on them. Tell everyone that they took you 5 hours to do, or whatever number. In my case, I think I'll just be giving them, I'll keep keeping these for myself and giving a set to my sister for the holidays. Any questions, concerns? This is fairly straightforward.
We've had a few people ask about spraying it with a sealant or protectant, but I believe you'll get to that at the end, correct?
Yeah, we've got a little while longer here today, so I'll talk about that at the end. We're in a little bit. We don't even need to do all 4 of these, but I'm having so much fun. I'm enjoying this. I'm very relaxed. Hopefully you are as well. You know, some people are at work doing this. Some people are at home. Dorm rooms I know we've had in the past. Just a nice way to like break up the day, especially it's a Monday, right? It's a Monday. Let's remember that. Easing into the week, what we'll say. Did anyone take any of the other Prismacolor, Papermate, Sharpie classes, or Elmer's classes? Curious to know if we have some repeats back here in the class. Those were a lot of fun.
Yeah, we've had a few people say that they've been in a lot of the other classes, which is cool to see some of the same faces again.
I know Alex is able to look through all of the different cameras really fast. I'm up here, I can't really see too much, but I'm sure she recognizes some of the faces. Okay, so I'm adding to my third and random drops. Don't necessarily have a strategy. And that's okay. Because really with this project, I think every set of coasters will be unique and they'll all look beautiful. I'm confident in it. Super, super confident. Now, if you asked me to do some of the other classes that my coworkers did, I would not be able to do some of those because I'm not as skilled as they are, or probably as some of you are. But this is something that I could, you know, really comfortable doing. I could do this activity with my niece and nephew who are in Ohio, and they'd have a blast.
Hey, Jonathan, we've had a few people ask, are you able to color all of your coasters with the permanent markers first? Like say you color 4 of them and then add the alcohol, or do you need to add the alcohol immediately?
Nope, you can add it after the fact. I wouldn't wait too long, but you can definitely. I've just chosen today, since we're all on the class together, to kind of just do the color and then add the alcohol, but I could have waited. I have never tested it where I came back to it a week later, but I would assume that, you know, it would be more than fine to just come back an hour or two the next day and finish it up if you don't want to do it all right now. So that's that one right there. And I'm just going to do one more since I need a set and 3 is not. So let's just finish it up here. This one I am going to do in a circle and then just go around that circle with other colors. We're going to start with orange in the center.
And I just want to say a lot of people are holding up their designs and things that they've done, and they all look awesome. I know Jonathan's probably not able to see them from that far away, but they do. They look really cool.
That's so awesome, everyone. I'm so happy, and I'm so glad that you're having fun. So glad. Of course, if you never.
Hey, Jonathan, sorry, we had somebody ask, is there a way to stop the alcohol from spreading if they like how it looks? I'm not sure if maybe you can use a hair dryer or something like that to dry it immediately.
Yeah, I wish we had a way to control it. The only way that you're going to get it really to control that is by putting a smaller amount down onto the tile. So don't put as much and really take your time with it. Don't go too fast because yeah, it's gonna move around. So unfortunately, no. One thing that you can try doing that I did, if you want a very faint effect, is you could blot it in sections with like a tissue or a paper towel and take a little bit of it off. But you're not going to get this more like bold color that I have on the ones in front of me. So personally, I like the bold. Sharpies are bold markers. But that's an option that you have. So this one I'm just kind of going in a circle and adding just different rings of color. This is not perfect, and it's not supposed to be perfect. There are no rules.
And Jonathan, we've had a few people ask as well. So if you, on the tiles that you did earlier, if they dry and you want some more color in some of those spaces that may have gone white, can you add Sharpie after and then add alcohol again to kind of create a new effect?
Yep, certainly. I actually, one of these in front of me here, before I did the polyurethane, I rubbed it with my finger and took a little bit of the color off. So I went back and just reapplied some of the marker to it, and it worked out just fine. So you definitely can go back. Again, go back until the point of you've added the polyurethane, because then it's going to be sealed. And you're not going to be able to really go back after that. I'm looking for my aubergine marker and I don't see it. It's probably somewhere on the table here. That's okay. We'll just stick with the ones that I have. All the way right in front of me. I have a tendency to lose things. I was actually on a plane last night, came back, I was in Buffalo, New York, and had an eye mask on, and I lost my eye mask on the plane. Not sure how that happened, but that's okay. Another one has been ordered. Okay, I'm liking that design. Certainly, if you don't want to add the alcohol, you could choose not to. You could just do the polyurethane on top of these after the fact. And sort of lock in, seal that creation. I'll finish this off with a little bit of orange all around the sides. See, I just smudged that with my hand. There we go, cover it right back up again. Again, so you can still see how the three that we have in front of me that are done do look very unique from each other. They're not the same, and that's exactly what I wanted. I did not want 4 of the same coaster, but I wanted the colors to be consistent across the board. Okay. Finishing up my 4th coaster here, I'll do the rubbing alcohol. We'll talk briefly about the polyurethane, and just one way to finish things off with some felt on the bottom of these so that they don't scratch any surfaces. Okay. This looks great. Add a little bit more color in here. Now, in the case of the yellow, I've got the yellow hitting the red. If I were to use these on paper after for a project, I'd want to make sure that I try to get all that red out. Just be aware that things could bleed a little bit under the tips. Right. Hopefully everyone else is finishing up their fourth or last one here, how many you've done. Just finishing up just a little bit more orange on there. A little bit more of this chocolatey brown. And cap these babies up. Keep them from drying out. Let's go back to the rubbing alcohol. And again, little drops around the entire area of the coaster. Trying to avoid soaking it. Don't want any puddles or floods or big puddles on here. It's just enough so that it starts to dry within the next half hour to an hour. Because these are going to take a little while to dry, I'm not going to be able to show you the whole polyurethane process, nor do I suggest spraying the polyurethane in your homes, unless you feel comfortable doing that. Also want to call out, if you do have little ones that are doing this activity today and you're supervising them, please make sure that you're watching them throughout that process. Okay. Cool. I'm going to stop with that one right there. Let's see. How's it looking? Maybe a little bit of rubbing alcohol there to get that red to bleed, and a little bit on the brown here. Great. A little bit more there. And I'm going to stop right there. All right. So I am done with my rubbing alcohol. I'm done with designing the coasters and using these really beautiful, bold, fallish colors, fallish or autumnal colors on top here. So what you're going to want to do now, if you're finished like I am, we need to let these dry and try to avoid moving these around too much, especially since the rubbing alcohol will make the colors bleed a little bit more. So you can let them dry inside your home in a warm area. Maybe there's a window nearby. If it's a sunny day where you are, bring these outside and just let them sit for about an hour or so. And then when they're completely dry, just bring them right back inside. And what I have here is some Minwax fast drying polyurethane. You don't need to buy Minwax. I'm not doing a plug for them, but you just need some fast drying polyurethane. And what you're going to do is you're going to shake this up. This bottle says 2 minutes to shake, to prime the can. And then put 1 or 2 light coats of the polyurethane on top of the surface of these, and then let that dry. I let them dry for about an hour or so, and then they should be ready to go for use tonight, right? Also, if you have felt laying around at home, different pieces, you can cut some felt and put it on the bottom of the coasters to prevent the coasters from scratching any surface. Really simple. Just take the coaster, put this up here a little bit. Just take your coaster and your felt, and you can just measure the width of it by placing your coaster on top and then just cutting around. I'd suggest a strong glue, that's something that will adhere to not only the felt, but to the tile. A school glue may work, like an Elmer's school glue, but I definitely suggest maybe like a hot glue to really make sure that it's adhered to that, okay? And then as far as washing these goes, this is not something you're gonna be throwing in the dishwasher, throwing in your sink. You're just gonna be lightly washing them off if they have any residue on them, so that we always preserve what's here, even though everything should be locked in and ready to go. Does anyone have any questions about the process?
We've had a few people ask if they're able to put hot surfaces on the tiles once they're dry.
Yeah, so that's a great question. this is something that I would advise using for a coffee mug, a hot cup of tea, right? Your cold beverages. I personally would not put a hot casserole dish at 450 degrees on top of this. It's not something that we necessarily advise doing. Certainly that's up to you, but be careful if you're going to do that. Also, a lot of these tiles, some of them can be different depending on where they came from. So just definitely check with either the manufacturer or the retailer where you purchase them to make sure that you're doing it the right thing. There's other things you can also do if you choose not to use these as coasters, and if you want to sort of combine them all together and use them as sort of a larger surface that's all one, certainly you can do that as well. But we definitely love the sort of tie-dyed effect that it brings to these coasters. And I think that the next time you're hosting or sitting at home, it will make the experience even better. But that's all we have today for you guys. I want to thank you again, and so does the team at Newell Brands and Sharpie and Michaels for joining us today. Again, this class is being recorded and it will be available on michaels.com tomorrow. Please feel free to, and we highly encourage you to snap a photo of your creation and use the hashtag #MakeItWithMichaels and hashtag Sharpie or @Sharpie so that we can see all of your creations later today. With that, have a wonderful afternoon and thank you again for joining. Bye.